do you need to get stronger?
I posted that, and I won't make this too long of a rant. I posted that off of a guy, our previous guest, Matt Tomaszewski, first sergeant type, the former gunny that went the dark side. He was asking some questions in Slack, and then I made some comments, and then he messaged me, and it was basically, I mean, the guy's like a 500-pound squatter, and he's like, hey, I need to lose some weight. I'm 5'10". I'm, 230. I'm like close to not taping for the Marine Corps. And I'm like, dude, just like lose some weight, like go carnivore, like go low carb. Like I was giving him some options. And he's like, yeah, but like my strength numbers. And I just said to him, like, do you need to get stronger? And he said, like, what's the point of all this if I'm not trying to get stronger? And I think both of those questions are valid. But I think that at some point, if you are strong, like How Strong is Strong Enough is like a book or an article that Ripito has written, or maybe I actually think he has a short book on that. Yeah, he does, which is like a collection of essays. But like, do you need to get stronger? And the answer is yes and no. I think the problem is that most people won't go through the hard part, which is like 3 years. And I think that's about what it is. I think it's about 3 years of consistently 3 times a week going into the gym, adding weight, dealing with injuries, dealing with back tweaks, going to the gym anyway, eating enough protein, probably tracking your food, making sure you're sleeping. Like it's a period of time in your life where you getting stronger is kind of, I don't want to say the only thing that matters, but it's a major thing that matters in your life. Like no matter what, you're depressed, you get divorced, someone hits you in the face with a baseball bat, whatever, like you're just like, I have to squat, I have to go deadlift. And if you've been through that, I think it takes like a significant amount of time, but like you get what I would put in quotes strong. And I always use that loosely because like if you've been to the Arnold, like none of us are strong, but I just mean like you can go in and move some weight around. And if you've gotten there, I'll use Tomaszewski as a great example and hopefully a more clear answer than I gave him over text. But it's like, brother, you can squat 500 pounds. Like if your job, in his case, specific case, the Marine Corps, like wants you to not be, or if you don't like being 17% body fat and you want to get down to 12 and your squat goes from 500 to, 450, you're going to be fine. Like you are 99% stronger than everyone else on the planet. So I think we're sometimes in the starting strength world and sometimes just in the powerlifting world is like this quest to get stronger. I do think that should be the mindset. The mindset should always be to get stronger. But I think at the same time, it's like if you've put in the work, like right now, my right shoulder's been driving me nuts. I got to run a PFT in 8 days, getting ready to deploy. I'm trying to balance my free time with like hanging out with my 5-month-old baby. And it's like, man, whether I press 200 or 212 and a half for a set of 5, like doesn't matter, right? Like what matters is that it's like relatively heavy and I'm doing it consistently. But that was kind of my thought. And that's my user hat on. If I put my coaching hat on, it'd be completely different, mainly because 90% of the people I've coached over the last decade, and it's been more than a decade that I've been coaching people, is they never do the hard part. But if you've done the hard part, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to get stronger, but you should be able to like zoom out and realize like, hey, if I can deadlift 405 for 5 and like all this other crazy stuff is going on in my life, like it doesn't mean I don't go to the gym, right? But I can focus on this and not make lifting my number one priority. Anyway, that was my thoughts. But Jeff, I'm curious your thoughts on that.
No, I think that's like well said, and that like, yeah, you should always want to get stronger, right? Like that's kind of what keeps you coming back is you're like, oh man, I haven't done this weight before, putting 5 more pounds on the bar. Like, let's see if I've got it. Like, let's see if I can get under this bar and stand up 5 times with a weight I've never done before. So it's like, it's cool to experience that feeling and to like, as you progress in your lifting, like see what program tweaks, try to get that extra like 5 pounds added to your deadlift or something like that. So it is kind of a journey, but then also like balancing things with like, hey, yeah, there's a very real requirement for, those that are in the military to have height and weight standards that you do have to kind of adhere to. And there are ways, if you're a freak athlete and can run a 300 PFT or, 285 PFT and a 285 CFT, and, you can squat 500 pounds, like you're just a gifted individual in terms of your genetics, and you probably have your training dialed. But if the Marine Corps wants you to kind of look and be a certain way, you kind of got to adhere to that and try to balance all the things that you're trying to go for in the gym, and then also kind of your professional and military requirements. But
I mean, I'd even say it's similar to being
500 pounds. He's strong enough for life.
Yeah, I'd even say it's similar to being in the Marine Corps, though, right? It's like you're always prepping for combat. Like, obviously, you're always prepping for combat, like, because like that's the whole point. Force and readiness, be ready. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I just can't go out and do gun drills on a 777 all the time right now because I have a phasmo or whatever kind of inspection coming up. And if I fail this, then like all the bosses get fired, everyone gets ruined. And like, actually, like right now, more like, of course, and it's that kind of mindset. But anyway, that was all I wanted to say is yes, you should want to get stronger, but you should have a lens on there.
I think it's kind of, listen to both y'all, what it kind of reminds me of, what's that saying? Comparison's the thief of joy. And if, I don't know, like I feel like in weightlifting, like comparison, like you compare yourself, if you go to a gym, like what the next guy's doing over, or even if you compare yourself to like, man, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I was able to do this for 10, you know what I mean? It's just
like in high school,
it's kind of like you said, like you got to kind of zoom out a little bit.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. So I don't know. It's kind of like what you're saying. It's kind of like, hey, you got to, when you take your coach set off, you got to kind of take into account like everything else you have going on in life and just kind of be happy where you're at, kind of thing. See the good part of it.
Yeah, and if you're weak, you're weak. And that's like a fixable problem that you have to do. And I actually, if you're weak, you have to prioritize that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there needs to be a time in your life where like, that's the main thing you do. But at some point, it's just like, there's always someone stronger. You're not going to set any world records. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't get paid for, like, you don't get promoted faster for deadlifting 600. And it's like, what's the reason I'm getting stronger?
True.
Healthy tendons, healthy ligaments, good bone density, ability to do tasks, move people around, whatever it is. And it's like, if you're accomplishing those things, and there's something else in your life, and it could just be like, hey, I'm getting married this summer and I'm currently whatever, like I want to be skinnier to like take photos or fit in a suit or a uniform, whatever. And like, I think sometimes we miss that. And it's just like, brother, it's all right. Like I don't think you zap all of that strength either. If you've put in the work, I don't think like your tendons and ligaments disappear. If you're still training, but you're just not like eating as much and training as hard, I think like your ability to perform max strength goes away. But like right now, I could probably, with my shoulder bothering me, I probably couldn't on a straight bar, but I could probably go Mars bar squat like 485 and my best is 515. And so it's like, whoa, you lost whatever that is. And it's like, well, sure, maybe, yeah. But at the same time, I also know that like if you gave me a month, I could like very quickly get back to very close to that. Like a PR is always a tough PR in strength training, but it's the same thing with like running. It's like, oh, I went to run 3 miles. That took me 27 minutes. And it's like, yeah, give me a month of running and that'll be down to 23 minutes or whatever the case is. So anyway.
Yeah.
Big lifting, guys.